Jan got this one to us through Josiah. She said, "Hi guys, thank you for your podcast on Generation Health. I've been enjoying them very much. I have a question about strontium citrate. I've been taking 680 milligrams per day of strontium citrate along with calcium, magnesium, and a K2 supplement for 2 years. I had osteoporosis, but my bone density has improved significantly. I now have osteopenia. A few months ago, in the second year of dealing with supplementing, I had my cholesterol checked as part of my yearly checkup. My LDL went up 40 points in just 1 year. Prior to this, my cholesterol had been stable at slightly above normal for years and years. I want to identify the cause and eliminate it, but being on a statin makes that harder to do, doesn't it? I know that strontium... oh boy, we're going to get into the big words that Tyler can't say. I know that strontium renalate... Did I say that right? Ranelate?
Yeah.
Sure, okay. Can cause heart problems, but I thought strontium citrate was supposed to be safe. I would hate to stop it completely because it has helped my bone density so much, so I am now taking a half dose. I do not want to even consider taking a pharmaceutical for osteoporosis. I would appreciate any information you may have on it. Since it is a supplement, my doctors seem to have no opinion. They just want to know if I had changed my diet or the amount of exercise that I do. I have not. Thank you, Jan. Okay. Big, long email. Give you guys a bunch of background. What's going on here? What is strontium citrate, and what is that something that's something she's taking for the osteoporosis, right?
Correct. It's part of her regimen here. So it is a mineral. Okay. So it's used for bone building. It's actually, what I found was interesting because she brought up the different salts. And what I mean by that is the ranelate salt versus the citrate salt. Mm-hmm. Strontium ranelate is approved in Europe as a medication. And that's where the link to because the one comment stood out. I know strontium ranelate can cause heart problems. So strontium ranelate approved as a drug in Europe, not FDA approved here. Strontium citrate is available here as a supplement.
Okay.
So very widely, I can tell you that one has been studied and one has not been studied so much. Obviously, the supplement citrate has not been studied. Ranelate has been.
Okay.
So the tricky part comes in, what parallels or what conclusions can you draw from what you know about ranelate to citrate for the better or worse?
What is the major difference between the two? You said they're just salt forms?
Yeah, they're just salt forms. Strontium is still obviously what you're after in terms of the effect, literally being part of the mineral building block of your bones.
Okay.
It's really about what your body does whenever you intake that to separate the strontium out.
Okay. All right. So, and then the concern is that it's affecting her cholesterol, that her LDL went up 40 points in a year.
Yeah, like almost, something is causing this. Could it have been this Could it have been this thing, that has been shown to maybe increase the risk of cardiovascular disease, right?
So that's what the
maybe not
logical jump here is that the only thing that she can think of that she's changed is she's taking the supplement. Therefore, that's probably it.
Yeah. So what I saw, strontium ranelate is effective. But the issue it's not related that I could find related to lipid levels directly. It's related to cardiac events. Okay. So there was a study done in Europe, not surprisingly, by the Pharmacovigilance Risk Assessment Committee of the European Medicines Agency. That they looked at 7,500 postmenopausal women, 3,800 on strontium ranelate. The 3,700 not on it, and they found a 1.6 odds ratio. So basically, you're 1.6 times more likely to have an MI if you're on strontium versus not. There were 5.7 MIs per 100,000 patients on strontium versus 3.6 not on it.
Okay, all right. So you're at a higher risk, but it doesn't seem like it's an enormously higher risk.
So nothing correct, and it's not moving the needle on lipids as far as I could see.
I was gonna say, you said MI, that's myocardial
heart
infarction.
attack. Yes, exactly. So their conclusion, just to wrap that up, is that it is still a useful therapeutic option for patients with osteoporosis and those with high risk for fracture who do not have cardiovascular risk factors. Again, back to what I said initially, though, what do you do with this? Well, I'm taking strontium citrate. How do I extrapolate that out, good or bad? That's where it gets a little tricky.
Okay. So what are the chances? And I know it seems like we're kind of in speculation territory here. What are the chances that the strontium citrate has anything to do with her LDL cholesterol?
It seems low.
Mm-hmm.
So in all likelihood, she should probably keep doing what she's doing for her osteoporosis, osteopenia, and find some other means of attacking the LDL issue.
Sure. Yeah, I think what sort of comes of the first part of the question is ultimately how do we tackle the cholesterol issue?
Right. Because she's seeing results from the supplementing that she's doing with the bone density. That's a big improvement to go from osteoporosis back to osteopenia. That's a good thing.
That's what she's saying. Yeah. So she had significant improvement.
Very cool. So, okay. So do we have any ideas or suggestions other than just no, don't stop, keep doing what you're doing and look for other solutions?
I think, as always, questions as detailed as she is, there's always there's just limitations in what you can get from a typed out question.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's always helpful to kind of see the full workup of an individual to see maybe how some other markers have changed, to maybe have a little bit more detailed of an understanding of maybe some other comorbidities potentially that she felt that were unrelated to this, or maybe not, or maybe there's none.
Right.
And then also just to kind of understand certain parts of the question, maybe understand some of the reluctance to a statin, try to understand just feel out where she's coming from with a lot of those thoughts, because, we know at this point how important it is and even just in her tone, she knows how important it is to try and get the cholesterol picture under control.
Absolutely.
And so, I know we can chat through some different recommendations for her, but in a brief search, it was hard to find something that was more likely to cause such a stark increase in, her cholesterol numbers. So I don't know if 50 points, 40 points in a year, I can't say if that's unheard of. I can't say if that's, I kind of don't know what to make of that.
Right.
So with that said, it would be helpful to know where it is now, and to understand maybe what the LDL cholesterol is, some of these other markers, the ApoB that we talked about. So there's certainly more to it. But in general, something has kind of got to be done. Something changed.
Yeah.
And there are certainly things lifestyle wise that absolutely can lead to this. It's hard. We know that we're not the best at recalling what we eat, the style of things that we eat, the quantities that we eat. And so not saying that I distrust what she's saying about changes in dietary intake. It's just that we know for sure that when we eat a diet high in sort of these animal derived saturated fats, it has the likelihood of increasing something like she's referring to, the total cholesterol, LDL cholesterol.
Yep.
It helps to replace those things with nuts and salmon and other sort of plant sources of unsaturated fats.
Yeah.
Maybe her dietary fiber decreased. She could potentially be adding a little more fiber to her diet from, legumes and vegetables, fruits, other whole grains, oatmeal. That's a huge portion. Now, and, just referring back to this idea of understanding her entire health picture, we know that body composition matters in terms of cholesterol changes. So those with increased body fat. So looking at something like a waist circumference can be a good marker of that sort of measurement. And so maybe that changed over time.
Yep.
Or maybe not.
Yeah.
So you you start to rule out some of these things, but in general,
And it's possible that it's a little from column A and a little from column B too. It might not be a substantial shift in diet, but a small shift in diet, not a substantial shift in exercise, but a small shift in exercise. All of those things could have compounded to be hard to detect, but ultimately a substantial shift in those cholesterol numbers, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Makes sense. So, okay. So what can she do? How can we help Jen?
Yeah, it seems like her, I mean, for whatever it's worth, her real question ultimately is what about the strontium in terms of it's, not good, but she's not really so much worried about the cholesterol. She's worried, what do I do about the strontium?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And to me, it's because the part of the question is, I want to identify the cause and eliminate it, but being on a statin makes that harder, doesn't it? So for me, I would say that it's very unlikely that the strontium is the cause. Like we touched on, she can continue that. And then like Dante said, she does need to talk with her doctor, but, talk about the cholesterol itself. What can we do lifestyle wise, medication wise, supplement if there's, some resistance there that, she can do to get the cholesterol numbers down. Cause it seems like she's got the, on the right track, at least, and made significant improvement in the bone issue. Strontium, not an issue there.